Hey, good afternoon or good morning. I want to thank everybody for joining us for today's session, which is part of the Asterisk digital webcast series. We're inviting some thought leaders from the lab informatics industry to come on and share their thoughts on the future of the laboratory informatics world. And today we're joined by Abbott, who's going to be presenting rapid deployment of digital solutions for COVID-19 testing and reporting. So we'll go ahead and have our guests come on in just a moment from StarLIMS and Abbott. But before we do that, I want to take a moment and just tell you a little bit about the company Asterisk Technology Group, who is putting today's session on. You can go to next slide, please. And today's session, as I mentioned, is part of an entire webcast series. It's actually extending all the way out through March. So we have really the best and brightest in the lab informatics industry we've invited to come on and share their opinions and thoughts and technologies as it relates to the future of lab informatics. And today will be a great session. But before we get into that, a little bit about Asterisk Technology Group and who we are. We are an informatics professional services and strategic outsourced solutions company dedicated to serving the scientific community exclusively. A couple of quick stats on the company. We were established in 1995 and are privately held. We originated out of the IT division of a company called APBI, and this was a $300 million life science research organization. Today we operate from 7 offices in the United States and beautiful Costa Rica, and our headquarters are in Red Bank, New Jersey. The companies that we service are Fortune 1000 life science enterprises, chemical companies, CPG, government, and research institutions, all with large and fast-growing IT, outsourced, and compliance needs. Our mission, has and always will be, to deliver scalable, sustainable solutions for the scientific community. You can go to the next slide, please. So the professional services division of Asterisk Technology Group deals predominantly in lab informatics technology. And we offer end-to-end services that span the complete life cycle of scientific data systems. And this includes, the beginning of helping our customers oftentimes is about understanding business process analysis and enterprise architecture, figuring out really what an organization is going to need to bring their laboratory into the future. And then figuring out what the right technology is. So working with companies like StarLIMS and Abbott and figuring out, what are the right environments to put that technology into place. And once we do that, we can work with the development and implementation. And then, of course, things like the computer systems and validation work after an implementation. And then there's services that we can do after the fact, such as managed services, which helping to make sure that the applications are, constantly fine-tuned and updated and upgraded and doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And then we can even provide scientific and technical staffing services to staff your laboratory with the right people to not only, run these systems, but also, potentially run your laboratories. So with that, I would like to take a moment to introduce our speaker today. And you can go to the next slide, please. So we're super pleased to have Carla Paulson with us. She's been with StarLIMS for almost 20 years. The last 10 being Abbott Informatics. And she has been instrumental in numerous LIMS implementations for public health, clinical labs, under the various roles from everything from business analyst to project manager, product analyst, and then a senior product manager for life sciences for the last 2 years. She has an MBA, biomedical informatics, as well as PMP with a comprehensive background in computer science and software development. In her spare time, she's a busy mom, a 10-year-old boy, and she loves working out and playing tennis. So it's with great pleasure that I'd like to turn the presentation over to Carla, and Carla will let you run with it from here, and I'll be back on at the end.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you everyone for attending today. I'd like to start by showing you the different COVID-19 testing scenarios we see in the market. With the overwhelming demand for COVID-19 testing, plus the diversity of test assays and instruments, we've seen an expansion from the traditional lab testing to non-traditional, also known as decentralized settings. Even though the laboratory real-time PCR molecular testing is the current standard of care, the need for rapid testing solutions are needed. In this slide, you can see the different settings that we have, the traditional and non-traditional, the needs, the instruments that are typically used in these settings, and the systems that are that we see customers using for each of these traditional and not traditional testing. So I'm going to go over the next slides on the workflows and the needs and how the StarLIMS solution addresses these needs for each of these scenarios. So let me start with the traditional lab COVID-19 workflow needs. So this is something that probably most of you are already aware of. We have the typical need for at the beginning of receiving the test orders for the laboratory. Then we have to deal with the sample reception in the lab. And once the samples are received in the lab, we have to go through the process of testing these samples. And that testing can vary, even though you would think, you know, this could be a standard. There are different instruments in the market and different assays. Therefore, the protocols, you know, can be different and may require different workflows. Once this testing is completed, then we need to have a solution, of course, for reviewing and approving the test results. And as the last step, the reporting of the test results. This will be something that most LIMS do already offer as a solution for providing the reports for the test results once they are released to the healthcare providers. But in the case of COVID-19, we have also the needs for the public health reporting, which we'll also address later on. And this is following the CARES Act section 18115. As if you are not aware of this, this is something that is available in the HHS.gov website, as well as in the CDC website in the laboratory electronic reporting. So let's start with the reception of test orders. Since these laboratories are going to be handling a very high volume of samples, how StarLIMS addresses this need? They are going to be looking more for solutions that have electronic test orders, and this can be done in various ways. So one way is the portal. So we have the StarLIMS portal solution that is a full HTML5 solution. This can be used in any HTML5 compatible browser, such as Chrome, Safari, Edge, and Firefox. The StarLIMS portal is a separate installation, by the way, and this StarLIMS portal will basically communicate with the LIMS solution using the API integration. And also this StarLIMS portal will be some customers make it available for their own customers. So this will be more intended for the healthcare providers and any submitters sending orders to the laboratory for COVID-19 testing. Now, the user experience is something that we have put a lot of emphasis in our solutions. This is something that we consider is very important because it will minimize the end user training. So the solution is very intuitive and user-friendly. We also have the feature of the branding kit. This is something that allows our customer labs to customize the look and feel of the user interface of a StarLIMS portal to reflect their own brand. This is a solution that is available in our cloud, which is hosted by AWS. Therefore, there is no installation requirements or infrastructure burden from the customer side. And the customer is also the one who will be basically managing the access and the user accounts for the portal solution, as well as the StarLIMS mobile solution, which, by the way, is part of this whole StarLIMS portal solution. So the portal, of course, allows these healthcare providers and submitters to send the test orders, but this is more suitable from a desktop or laptop setting. But we have cases where a mobile solution would be a better fit when you have to do sample collection in real time and send all of that data to the LIMS, and perhaps the settings where you do this sample collection is not the best for having a desktop or laptop. As a result, we have this mobile solution, and the technology that we use is called Progressive Web Application. This can be supported in any iOS or Android device, either a smartphone or tablet. The user experience is also another very important thing that we have put a focus on our solutions. These are very intuitive and user-friendly. And in regards to the data that we have in the StarLIMS mobile, not only the data is encrypted, but something that we make sure is that none of this data is not saved in the device, and the device automatically also logs off when it's left idle. And it requires the user, every time the user wants to access the StarLIMS mobile solution, to log in. So it is important to have that for security purposes. So if you leave this for, let's say, a few seconds idle, automatically will log you out and basically not expose any patient private information. And similar to the portal, it will communicate to the LIMS solution using the API. And this is also, of course, cloud-based, since it's basically the same solution as the portal, and the user registration is basically going to be managed by the customer who wants to provide access to his customers. In this case, could be whoever, the healthcare providers or submitters sending the samples to the laboratory for testing, or whoever will be doing this sample collection in the field. But not only is a portal or a mobile solution enough, to have as an option for customers who need to implement the COVID-19 testing. And we have seen something that a lot of these customers already have some system, either perhaps a portal or perhaps another, maybe EMR, or sometimes even an LIS system that they already have in place that is capturing the test orders and all of the demographics and information of the patient. And therefore, we need to provide the integration options for these external systems. So this is where the StarLIMS interoperability features come to play. So we have multiple ways for integrating with external systems. We have our public RESTful API, which uses web services. And this is something that we have it available for our customers, and they can communicate to our system using this API, sending their test orders. They can query the status of their orders. They can obtain the test results and all the test data for their orders, as well as the patient reports. Another way is the HL7. So this is a standard in most healthcare systems. We have a public product specifications for customers who are interested in sending us test orders via HL7. And last option is the file. So an e-manifest file that can be also configured based on the customer needs. This could be either a CSV or an Excel file, and similar to the other options, is intended to upload and import samples and testing, patient testing data from an external system to the LIMS in bulk. Okay, so now let's say we have already all of these test orders received electronically. Then the next step is to have these samples, once they arrive to the lab, to be able to acknowledge that they arrived to the lab in good conditions and are ready for testing. So for that, StarLIMS provides different features for reception of the samples. So most of the cases, we are going to need to have a scanning of these samples using the barcode labels. And when it comes to the barcode labels of the samples, we have different scenarios. We have sometimes the customer sending these samples with their own barcode labels. Therefore, StarLIMS has the ability to recognize these barcodes as long as these customer sample IDs have been submitted as part of the electronic test order. But we have also cases where labs may want to pre-print these labels and send it to their customers. In that case, also Starlinks will recognize those labels and not as like the customer sample ID label, but as the lab sample ID label. In addition to scanning these samples individually, we also have a solution for scanning a shipment, because many times these samples could come as part of a shipment. So that is something that we also have the capability to do that if we receive these electronic test orders with some sort of shipment ID or tracking number information. And when you receive a whole shipment, then you can say, for example, all of the samples expected in the shipment arrived successfully, or perhaps you may have a situation that maybe 1 or 2 samples are missing. And that's where we have also the options to address what we call problem samples. And problem samples could be not necessarily just missing samples, but also samples that arrive, but arrive with quality control issues. So having the ability to report these quality control issues and having the ability to perhaps reject a test order or continue with the test order, but put the sample on hold for reporting. Maybe there is some data that needs to be followed up or is missing. So the testing will continue, but a hold for reporting will be put in place. And as part of the sample reception, we also have the printing labels. And this is something that needs to be done in a very efficient way. Performance is key. So because of that, we have made enhancements also to our label templates, not only being able to manage different label templates and barcode formats, but also being able to handle and support label printer language, programming language, such as ZPL, which is used by Zebra printers, for example. Okay, so now let's say we have our samples received in the lab, and now we are ready for testing. When it comes to testing, there are different ways of addressing this. So let's start with a very simple scenario. So here I'm using an example for COVID-19 testing. If you use an instrument such as the Abbott M2000 or the Alinity M or Alinity I also, there is really no need to track the sample preparation. So the testing is very straightforward. What we are going to be doing is basically just sending the test orders to the instrument and importing these test results. Typically, in these cases, there is not going to be complex workflow scenarios such as pool testing. So this is going to be just very straightforward as an instrument interface, and that's it. But we have other cases. For example, if we talk about the ABI 7500 instrument, in that case, we have the need to track an extra step, and this is the sample preparation, which is the extraction of RNA step. And this can be done sometimes with different methods or instruments in different ways. So I have put here an example of the extraction of RNA. For example, you can do that and load those extracted RNA samples, perhaps in a 96-well plate. And then you can have another step of PCR testing where you have these extracted RNA samples in your plate, and that plate needs to be loaded in the instrument for PCR testing, have the instrument interface to receive the final test results, and that's the end of the workflow. So this is a very simple workflow, but it still requires some additional steps prior to the PCR testing. Now this can be even more complex. Now here I have another example. This is using, for example, the Perkin-Elmer instruments. We can have a pre-extraction step where the nasal subsamples are collected, are being put in a 96-well plate. Then we have to do extraction of RNA, have those 96-well plate basically loaded to the Chemagic 360 instrument, which takes care of the extraction of RNA, and the output will be another 96-well plate, but this time this will have extracted RNA samples. Then we can have a PCR setup step where maybe we need to do a merging of up to 4 96-well plates with extracted RNA samples into a 384-well plate, which is going to then be loaded in the PCR instrument for testing. And we can have a last step of amplification, which is going to have this PCR plate loaded into a light cycler instrument, get the results, and have those calculated as the final results to either have detected, not detected, invalid, or positive, negative, invalid. And so as you can see, the need for managing these workflows is important as part of the LIMS solution. And one last workflow example that I want to share with you. There is also the need sometimes for pooling. We have recently, I just heard actually from Perkin-Elmer that they have been certified their instruments for COVID-19 pooling testing. And I think as like that instrument, for example, that has been certified, I believe is the Janus, there will be more instruments probably coming up in the market that will also have this authorization for COVID-19 pooling testing. And I know this is something that the government has been pushing to the laboratories, encouraging them to do this pooling testing. So as a result, we have also this ability to configure this workflow. So when it comes to pooling, we have the options for configuring a step for pooling, allowing the customer to select multiple samples and create their pool. In this case, it's very important to have the parent-child relationship, because when it comes to pool testing, this is going to have to be treated differently from regular, sample testing. When we get a result for a pool sample from the instrument, for example, if it is a negative result, then we can have a rule in place that will update the negative result to all of the parent samples as part of the pool. However, if it is a positive result, we can have a rule in place to trigger the retest of each of the individual parent samples that are part of the pool. Now, moving on to the instrument interfaces. So regardless of what the workflow is that the laboratory will be using for COVID-19, the instrument interfaces is something critical to make sure that this is done in an automated way. So we have solutions already built in StarLIMS. We provide the DI integration with DC's Data Innovations Instrument Manager middleware. And this is the way that we actually integrate with most of our Abbott instruments, such as the M2000, Alinity, Architect. But we also provide other ways for instrument interfaces, such as file-based. And I have some examples of other instruments that provide that options. So, for example, ABI 7500, QuantStudio, and Janus G3. So once we have all of the testing workflow taken care of, the next step is to review and approve the test results. So key features that we can use from StarLIMS is the different ways that we have for approval. We have batch approval, we have sample approval, and depending on the scenarios, you may want to use either or. So typical case, like if you have a lot of negative, sample results, then you may want to just approve all of those in batch. Sometimes we may have also the concept of a run or batch of samples, in which case, the laboratory supervisor may want to review batch by batch of samples and approve by run or batch. And also when we have situations of not only positives, but also invalid results, you may want to address those individually. Now, when it comes to the approval and review, something that is very important also to have is access to the full traceability and information of what happened to those samples, what instruments were used, what quality controls were used. If you manage also the quality controls in our system, you have the option to track the lot numbers of those quality controls. You can also do controls of the inventory of reagents that you use for your testing. So any information that you track in our Starling solution will be available for the lab supervisor to review as part of the approval process. We have also different levels of approval that can be configured in the system. We can have at the test level, at the panel level, at the request level. And if customer wants to turn on, turn off any of these levels, this can be definitely configured according to the lab needs. As the last step of the workflow, once we get to the reporting, now that we have the test results released and approved. So we have different options for delivering the final patient report to the healthcare providers. So these are delivery methods that can be configured according to the healthcare provider or submitter's preferences. So we support secure email, we support fax, we support also the Starlings portal if they are using that. And we can also do interfaces with HL7, for example, if there is a customer that perhaps wants to establish an integration with the laboratory using HL7 interfaces. That's something that also we can support. Now, this is something that is coming up more and more as part of the COVID-19 testing needs for laboratories, is the integration to external systems. And as I mentioned in the first step, like sometimes these laboratories may have their own systems for tracking the test orders. So we need to provide them options for integrating with these external systems. Sometimes not only for getting the test orders in the LIMS, but also for sending back the information of the test results and any other information that we may have captured as part of the LIMS process of the workflow of the sample. So we have different options for that. We can do the API if that's a option from this external system. We can do this via files, exchanges, or transfers, and of course HL7. Now I have to say that anything that is required for external systems for us to send data to an external system will require professional services, because this is something that needs to be done specifically for that external system specification. So it's something that we have to address with our professional services. In addition to the healthcare provider reporting, we have the public health reporting. And this is where I would say Starlings has a great, robust, and configurable solution when it comes to HL7. And that's what we have used for the public health reporting. So for that, we have partnered with APHL, Informatics Messaging Services Platform, also known as AIMS. And we take care of the public health reporting using their HL7 ELR program. So we have this already built in and configured in Starlings to basically send all of the required information following the CARES Act section 18115. And we send these HL7 messages to the AIMS platform. From there, the AIMS platform sends the HL7 messages to each of the state Department of Health based on the patient's residency. And from there, the State Department of Health will basically be sending the test results to CDC, and from CDC, it will go to the CST. So here you can see this is basically the flow of how it goes, of how the public health reporting messages go from Starlings to the different local and federal authorities. So with that, I'm going to now go to the next setting of COVID-19 testing, which is the non-traditional or decentralized. And I would like to start with the challenges. So now let's move out of the traditional lab and let's go into imagine the physician office labs or urgent care or sometimes even retail. Now we have these, testing facilities popping up everywhere. So one of the challenges is the lack of connectivity. Typically, they are going to be using instruments that are considered the point of care instruments for rapid testing, and these instruments typically they don't have the connectivity to their systems, and their systems could be, for example, an EMR or EHR. So that is a problem that they face. Another thing is that the healthcare provider systems limit their capabilities. Typically, the systems, they are not going to be able to capture all of the required data that is needed for public health reporting, or cannot even do the public health reporting. And as a result, many of these testing facilities, they have to follow a very manual workflow. And what we've seen in the market is that many of these healthcare providers, they have to consolidate all of the testing data and reporting manually and do all of this public health reporting basically manually. So this is one of the major challenges that they have. So now how does Abbott address these challenges? I'm going to show you next a video for our One Abbott solution, which is what I'm going to talk about after the video. So let me just play this for you.
Decentralized healthcare settings present a challenge to ensure COVID-19 testing and patient data are collected and reported to the appropriate public health authorities. The CARES Act requires patient data and test results be reported within 24 hours. The One Abbott solution encompasses ID Now, RowsLink, and the StarLens digital solution, offering ease of COVID-19 testing and reporting within 24 hours with limited infrastructure burden. Step 1. The testing provider will log in and create a new order. The provider can scan the unique One Abbott ID and then collect the required patient data. In some states, the patient's driver's license can be scanned to save time. Step 2. The provider collects the patient sample for COVID-19 testing. Step 3. The provider scans the unique One Abbott ID provided by the StarLens digital solution into ID Now and runs the patient sample on the instrument to test for COVID-19. ID Now provides results in 13 minutes or less. And that's it. The rest is done automatically. The patient's test result is automatically collected from ID Now by Abbott's RowsLink via secure cellular connectivity, enabling you to manage COVID-19 testing virtually anywhere you need it to be. RowsLink tracks, captures, and consolidates patient and quality control results from multiple ID Now instruments. Step 4. The result and patient data are then consolidated by the StarLens digital solution and transmitted to AIMS platform for reporting to public health authorities within 24 hours. During these unprecedented times, the One Abbott solution for ID Now COVID-19 testing and reporting will help you automate the reporting of test results with speed and accuracy. Contact your Abbott representative today to learn more.
Okay, well, I hope you all heard that video well. I hope the audio came out well. So as the video showed, the One Abbott solution for ID Now offers the customers this speed and performance for COVID-19 testing with the automated process for public health reporting following the CARES Act requirements. And this is composed at the center of it, of course, the ID Now instrument, which is the leading molecular point-of-care platform in the United States, offering the fastest molecular test on the market for COVID-19. We also have the RowsLink component, which captures the test results, and this provides the cellular connectivity to get these results from different ID Now instruments in different locations. And third, we have the StarLens digital solution, which is basically capturing all of the patient demographics and obtaining these results from RowsLink automatically consolidating all of the testing data following the CARES Act requirements and doing the public health reporting within 24 hours. And this is all done also using the AIMS platform in partnership with APHL. So let me explain you a little bit more of the typical workflow for the One Abbott solution. So the first step that we have is the healthcare provider is going to be using the Starlinks mobile solution to capture the ordering physician data, the patient demographics, the COVID-19 ask an order entry question following the CARES Act requirements. And all of this data is being captured in the Starlinks mobile, and it will provide a unique ID, also known as the One Abbott ID. So that will be available once the order is submitted in step number 1. Now, the next step is then doing the actual sample collection. So for that, the healthcare provider will collect the patient sample. Once that is done, we go to step number 3. And now with the sample collected, the healthcare provider will go to where the instrument is. Typically, let's say it's in another room, not next to the patient. So walks with that patient sample and conducts the testing. When it's the time for doing the testing, we have, again, the Starlinks mobile solution being used for that. So the healthcare provider can have either perhaps a tablet, or the Starlinks mobile solution can also be opened in a desktop or laptop that is next to the instrument, pull the order that was collected in step number 1, and scan that unique order ID using the barcode scanner connected to ID Now. And this will basically go into ID Now as the patient ID. And that is it. The rest is done all automatically because RALS Link, which provides a gateway that will be connected to the app, will capture these test results once the testing is completed by ID Now, which could be within 13 minutes. And once these results are captured for that unique ID, this will be also captured by Starlinks with the integration that it has with RALS Link. And Starlinks, once receives the result for the patient, consolidates all of the testing data that already has captured in step number 1 with the test result and generates the HL7 message that will be sent to the AIMS platform. And this is how we take care of the public health reporting. Once this is sent to the AIMS platform, the results are going to be sent out to the different state departments of health based on the patient's residency. So all of this is done automated and within minutes, which guarantees that our healthcare providers will be compliant with the public health reporting within the 24 hours, within the mandated 24 hours. And in some cases, I gotta mention also this, we have certain states like New York, this requirement is even less, it's within 3 hours. So solutions like this basically provides this automated public health reporting, to be. So let me talk to you more about this Starlinks digital solution that we have for the decentralized setting. So what does it have? What does it consist of? So as I mentioned also in the traditional setting at the beginning for the reception, we have the Starlinks portal and we have the Starlinks mobile solution. Actually, these two are basically the same solution, it's just offered in 2 different ways. So similar like that, we do for the One Abbott solution. In the case of the mobile, the technology that we use is the same technology, Progressive Web Application, in any mobile device. However, because this is a progressive web application, it can also be launched in a desktop or laptop. It would look a little bit funny, of course, because the user interface is intended for a mobile device, but it also can work from a desktop or laptop. And the features of the mobile solution, this is more intended for the healthcare provider. Very important to say that this is not a mobile solution that is intended for the patient. This is for the healthcare provider, because it's the healthcare provider who will be capturing all of these data that not only the patient demographics, but whoever is ordering, is the ordering physician authorizing the test, and the questions and all of that. And something that we have also implemented as part of the mobile solution is the feature to scan a document or ID or driver's license barcode, if available, of course. And this is something that will minimize the manual entry in the mobile solution, and also expedite this data entry and avoid any data entry errors. So that's also available using the mobile's camera, this driver's license or ID barcode. Now, it's important to mention that this is something that is not available in all of the states. There is a special barcode format that is needed. It's the PDF 417. So something that we always tell healthcare providers is to make sure that, when they scan, just verify that all of the demographics, have been captured correctly. Otherwise, they have to enter it manually. So that's for the mobile solution. We also have the portal, and the portal in this case is more intended for a site administrator type role. This is something that will allow this site administrator to basically see all of the data, the testing data from maybe one or multiple facilities from his organization. And as far as the portal solution, this is an HTML5, basically web solution. And not only you have access to the data, but also you can manage the access for the mobile solution as well as the portal. So you can manage all the user accounts that you want to provide access for your organization. And it's actually the portal that basically does all the consolidation of this testing data and does the public health reporting within the 24 hours. So why customers need this Starling Digital solution? Here you can see basically a summary of the reasons for why using this One Abbott solution and the Starling Digital solution as part of it. So the main reason is because it has this integration with ID Now, and it provides the compliance with public health reporting laws, which, by the way, we have challenges with that because public health reporting requirements are evolving. And so that's another thing that the Starling Digital solution addresses with that. We are working with APHL constantly to make sure that we have these public health reporting requirements in place per the CARES Act requirements. So basically what customers will get is a ready and easy to use, it's already in production, it's validated cloud solution. There's no need for installation or any kind of infrastructure burden. So this is basically just ready to use. And it has, of course, the mobile solution, and with the features that we provide, such as the scanning of the driver's license, we try to eliminate any manual data entry errors. And also by having the integration with ID Now using Rails Link, we also provide this elimination of manual data entry errors by capturing the test result automatically. And it's, of course, designed to cover all of the public health requirements, and customers don't have to do any manual consolidation of patient testing data, and basically takes care of the public health requirements automatically. And with the portal, it provides a nice dashboard also for our customers to see important KPIs and have access to all of their consolidated patient testing data from multiple facilities, locations, and have different statistics. And so with that, I'm concluding the presentation for today. So I'm ready then for any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. It's a great presentation. Before we get into the questions real quick, I'm going to go ahead and get the recording stopped because we usually don't do the recording.